All right, good afternoon, ARB. We're live and you're being recorded. You may begin.
Thank you so much, LTV. Welcome, everyone, to the Town of East Hampton Architectural Review Board meeting of October 12th, 2023. My name is Esperanza Leon. I'm the Vice Chair. I am here in place of our Chair, Kathleen Cunningham, who is traveling. I want to note that we do currently have a quorum. We're awaiting the arrival of Board Member Frank Guittard, who should be here momentarily. I did want to take advantage, briefly, to take this moment to acknowledge the diligence of this board, of the members of the Architectural Review Board, along with the planning department staff and legal staff. The members of this appointed board are duty-bound to upholding the town code, and this includes working to achieve, among other objectives stated in the town code purposes, zoning code purposes, orderly growth, protection of the established character of neighborhoods, the proper use of land, preservation, and aesthetic attributes such as water views and open vistas for the benefit of residents and visitors alike. And it's my belief that we are devoted to applying this code to the best of our ability and guided by counsel, and what we do is we do this to the best of our ability to perpetuate the historic sense of place for the greater good. And I just wanted to make that note before we continue and dive into the agenda with the approval of minutes of September 28th, 2023. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye. And we move on to number 1 in the applications for extension of time. Wainscot Colors LLC, Jane Lauder, tax map number 300-202-1-5.
Yes.
This is Diane.
Okay, this is an application for an extension of time. The current project is an emergency permit to repair or replace the first and second floor deck porch in kind, in place with the exact same materials and finishes as approved by the ARB in 2010. Now, is someone here representing this? Yes.
I think, yes.
Would you come forward?
I can also say too that I met with the applicant and the building inspector, Joe Palermo, before this, and confirmed that the plans that they submitted previously are the same ones that were submitted with this application. So everything is identical to the previous approval.
Yes, it seems to be. It seems that for various reasons, this was approved in 2010, so 13 years later, it's necessary. These decking and posts seem to have deteriorated, and so this is an emergency extensive to rebuild, and then they will be ready finally to get a C of O, is my understanding.
They already have the C of O.
Yes.
Oh, you have a
Yes.
C of O.
However, it was brought to our attention that they wanted us to still come before the ARB just to, I guess, oversee the project itself and the repairs and the, to confirm that it's going to be the same project that it was, and it fits within the board's approval from 2010, and that there wasn't any.
Yeah, it does fit within the scope, and it's kind of a, I guess, case of first impression or unique fact pattern that it's already been issued a CO and constructed, but it is a project that needs a building permit and an ag overlay, so that's why it's before this board, but everything is exactly the same. So I would just advise the board that we're bound by our prior precedent, and
Okay, so we are bound by this prior. I see no problem. Everything this family has done has always been to the letter, so I make a motion that we grant this extension of time.
Second.
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Feel better. Who is she?
I'm sorry, that was Elizabeth Baldwin, Beth Baldwin. Sorry, you didn't introduce yourself. So. Thank you. Elizabeth Baldwin for the applicant. There you go, for the public record. Number 2, we'll move on to, actually, we can't because this is Frank's application, as is the following one in change to commercial. These are for Driftwood Lobby. Do I read the tax map number in anyway, or
I
just
think we
move
could just
on?
come back to them,
Come
skip
back
over
to it.
them, and then, move on to the number 4, I guess.
Okay,
which is-
great. So we'll move on to number 4, Ross School, 20 Good Friend Drive, and this is an application that was reviewed by Chip.
So this is an application to enclose multiple acres of an athletic field at the 62-acre Ross School campus off Route 114. The fields are at the very end of Goodfriend Drive on the right side. They're not particularly visible from the main roads. They extend almost to the next parallel street, which is Plank Street. The fields are flat and enclosed on most sides by a wooded forest borderland. On one side, it's enclosed by a tennis court complex. The applicant proposes 8-foot-high agricultural deer fencing measuring 3,036 feet in length, and this project will cost about $50,000. The gates, which will be multiple gates onto this athletic fields, the images for those were not submitted, so I'm going to ask the applicant about that when we get to it. From what I gather in the file, they will match the agricultural fencing. They're going to allow access to the field. It appears to be 5 locations. Some of them are passenger gates and some of them are truck gates. The fence itself was agricultural wire attached to 5 to 6 inch round pressure treated southern pine posts with bracing at the corners. The stated reason for all this expensive fencing is that it relates to ticks, and the students playing on the athletic fields are susceptible to ticks that come out from the forest because the deer are in the forest. As the fencing will be at the edge of the forest, and it will be sort of unnoticeable from anywhere except the middle of the field, and it'll be woven in on the edge of the forest, so I don't think it's going to be very noticeable at all. The planning board reviewed and approved this application with minimal clearing on August 23rd, 2023. Steve, do you want to fill us in on anything I missed?
Steve O'Brien for the Ross School. I just wanted to say in regards to the gates, they will match with the same materials as to the fencing.
Okay.
So that they blend in. They are on the survey, the truck gates are really for fire department access, and the pedestrian gates are not only to access the fields, but in the unfortunate case of an emergency, to be able to escape from the fields into the woods, so it's not very close.
So the bottom of it is Goodfriend Drive, the top of it is Plank Road, and this complex it's going to be fenced in as the yellow line that is quite extensive. It goes along that curved road, and then it cuts over to the tennis buildings, and it goes down and cuts along the woodland. Dan, can you show us the other photos?
So the green, you mean the green?
Green, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I approach?
Sure.
Yes, so the idea was to move the fence, this is the edge, this dashed line of the woods, was to locate the fence within the woods a few feet in so that it would more blend with the natural aesthetic of the fields. This is the tennis center Plank Road. This is a private road owned by the school. Plank Road is about here. And it comes over to here, I believe, about where this light bulb is. It'll all be enclosed. It is for the ticks. This season wasn't as bad until the end of fall when the little baby ticks became very extensive.
And can you show us the photographs of the field? So the field is vast. It must be, what, 5 or 10 acres? It's a very large field.
There are 3 full-size soccer fields, each one about 6 to 7 acres.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
Wow,
It's
okay.
an extensive property, all maintained organically. So as opposed to spraying with some type of pesticide, this,
yeah.
believe it or not, is the most fiscally responsible option.
Yeah. So I see no reason not to approve this application. It's for the betterment of a large population of students.
Okay, so.
I make a motion to approve this application as submitted by the Ross School.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. You're all set. Okay, we go move on to fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is number 5 on the agenda, Valerie and Todd Street, tax map number 300-170-1-22.13, 32 Hampton Place. This again is Member Ray.
So this is an application to approve 7-foot-high deer fencing that's already in place on the 2 sides of the backyard of a house. This 2/3 of an acre property is in a very wooded neighborhood across from the former Wren's Nursery, now grounds work. The deer fencing is 7 feet high, and after discussing the slightly higher metal posts with the owner, Todd, who's here in the audience, on Monday, they quickly cut down everything so the posts and the fencing are no higher than 7 feet high on Tuesday, and I confirmed that Tuesday afternoon. The back fencing on this property is the neighbor's. It's a stockade fencing that runs across the back, so that's why they're only fencing in the 2 sides of the backyard. The nice thing is that several neighbors have fencing, deer fencing, that's much higher, 8 feet high. And so since their fencing was 7 feet high and the posts are now 7 feet high, I thought it was a nice compromise. Since the fencing is behind the front facade of the house and deeply hidden in the woods, and the applicant has been extremely cooperative, I see no reason not to approve this application. Todd, did I miss it? Do you want to come up and say anything that I missed? I covered it? Okay. Okay, so this is the fencing. It's hard to always photograph this deer fencing, but those are the posts that have all been cut down to 7 feet, and the deer fencing itself is 7 feet, and it's woven in the woodland, so you can't really see it at all.
Is there a survey to know which side?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I
Yes.
didn't quite understand the lay of the land.
It's the north and south side of the properties.
Okay.
So the street is on the left, Hampton Place. The driveway comes up from the bottom. The house is in, I guess, yellow or green. And the fencing is on 2 sides of the
The left
backyard.
and the right,
Yeah,
basically?
up and down. And
Oh, up and down?
down.
Oh,
And then this
okay.
neighbor has a
Right.
stockade fencing on the very vertical thing on the right.
What is the fencing? So the fencing that's depicted on the survey here is the one that's in the north property. That's not your fencing.
That's a neighbor's fencing, and it's actually a sluiceway for deer to go in and out of the properties. They've created about a 6-foot wide sluiceway for deer to maneuver around the neighborhood. It was actually very nice, and part of the fencing is theirs, and the fencing you're looking at is the neighbor's fencing.
So is the property entirely enclosed with fencing?
No, just the backyard. There's no fencing in the front of the house.
Okay, so I'm sorry, there's the sides and the back?
No, the front of the house is to the left, and the back of the house is to the right by David's head, and the fencing is on the top and the bottom.
Okay.
Do you want to point it out, Todd? Maybe you could point it out.
So this is the north side right here, and this is the fencing that we're discussing.
Yeah.
This is the existing stockade fence
Okay.
from my neighbor, and this is the fencing
Right there.
Does it go
Right.
to there? Okay, I see.
right here.
Uh-huh.
Right here, that goes to the back.
And then it just meets the,
And this
that
front
facade,
over
okay.
here is 4 foot,
I understood.
not wood. but-
Yeah, so I mentioned if they want to enclose, so it's really enclosed, if they want to extend the 7-foot fence over these gates, these 4-foot gates, they could do that. So the backyard would be totally, I mean, theoretically, the deer could jump over the gates now and end up in the backyard.
Well, but we're only approving,
We're approving this,
You're
right?
just approving this.
Yeah.
Right
Yes.
here.
and that,
Right here.
understood. Okay, now I understand, thank you.
I'm sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. And then there was a little piece of fence also just outside the property on the driveway, I guess, is that? And what is that?
No,
Right where your finger, right there, yes.
oh, this part right here?
Huh?
Right, that was part of the 4-foot fence.
So that's outside your property line?
The neighbor.
Or is it the neighbors?
Yeah. There's, I mean, this is.
So any approval that the board issues wouldn't apply to fencing located outside of the property line.
Okay.
So just,
That's a neighbor's driveway, actually.
Yeah.
That's what those lines.
Right, that's why I was wondering if it was the neighbor's fence
Yeah,
or
yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we just can't approve anything that's not on your property. Okay, all right, sounds,
So, good, I make a motion to approve this application as submitted.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
You're good.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Do you want to just continue, and then we'll go back to Frank's?
Whatever, sure.
Yeah, okay. So number 6, we're going to continue, and then we'll go back to the applications that Member Guittard has reviewed. We'll continue with 174 Queens Lane, tax map number 300-147-4-3.1.
If you just want to note that Member Guittard has arrived, and there's now 4 members present.
Yes, Member Guittard has arrived, and we are now 4 members sitting at the dais. And Chip, you can go ahead.
Sure. Brendan, are you representing yourself? Yes, okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to speak for a little bit, we'll look at the pictures. So let's look at the pictures first. This is a house off Springs Fireplace Road, new construction on a very diagonal street called Queens Lane. It's under construction. Dan, just run through the pictures. That's the side yard. The side of the house, or the back of the lot, it's a triangular shaped lot, so it's only got 3 sides. The long hypotenuse side is on Queens Lane, and then there's 2 sides that go back. It backs up to the industrial part of Springs Fireplace Road, and Mickey's Karting has a very large yard right behind that stockade fence. Okay. And really, the whole backyard is almost completely surrounded by neighbors' stockade fencing. So this is an application to add an 8-foot-high fencing on a portion of this unusual triangular-shaped property just off Springs Fireplace Road and near the town recycling center. This new house backs up to Mickey's Kartings, which has a large holding lot for dumpsters. Most of this triangular lot is already enclosed by several neighbors' 6-foot-high stockade fencing. A stretch between the end of Mickey's stockade fencing and Queens Lane, which is now used by the neighbor as their driveway illegally, is where the applicant would like to put an 8-foot-high fencing. I don't find any other 8-foot-high fencing in this neighborhood, and particularly in the residential strip along Queens Lane, or even in the industrial strip along Springs Fireplace Road. My feeling is that the applicant wouldn't be well served by putting an 8-foot-high fence to extend this fencing in the side yards. I really believe you'd be better off with the 6-foot-high stockade fencing matching your neighbors and then screening it with evergreens. Brendan, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yes, thank you. My name is Giancarlo Bruno. Thanks for your time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
oh, you're, okay, Brendan's your husband. Okay, sorry.
Catch that. So the proposal for the 8-foot fence is only on the side where we are close to Mickey Carton, and also another commercial activity that store porta potties there. And as you can imagine, it's extremely unsightly. And so the Mickey side is unsightly and noisy. The porta potty side is very unsightly. And you can really see it because the heads of the porta potties go well above the 6-foot fence. And so we're trying to make this livable in a way, enjoyable. We're going to have to deal with the noise, and that's on us. We knew that going in. But it would really be helpful in terms of the enjoyment of the property, not just for us, but also for whoever drives by the street or walks by will not have direct view over the porta potties and the cars.
So do you want to show them on the map where this 8-foot-high fencing would be?
Yeah.
'Cause it's,
So it's this portion really.
well, no, your left-hand finger, that's all Mickey has fenced that in.
This is Mickey's
Mickey,
fence, and this is the porta potties.
Right. And then your neighbor who's using your land for their driveway.
And then the neighbor that is using our land, he's
Yeah.
right here.
So I met with Mickey because I wanted to see the fence from the other side. So his fence is a stockade fence, and at great expense, he's put in a very large row of arborvitae to block your view of his dumpsters. He's also put in expensive irrigation. So, I mean, I don't think you're ever going to block the view with the 6-foot-high fencing or 8-foot-high fencing, but you will block it with evergreens. And so I find no precedent for 8-foot-high fencing in this neighborhood at all. And I would really say that you should put a 6-foot-high fencing and put your own evergreens in the section where you want to put the new fence.
What is the fencing that's proposed? What does it look like?
It's a white.
It's a white,
We added the picture.
yeah, it's a white poly vinyl fence.
So this, but at 8 feet?
Yes.
There is a picture of the proposed 8-foot. Yeah.
So you're surrounded by sort of naturally weathered cedar stockade fencing, and you're going to do this one little section in white vinyl? Oh, you're going to put your own fence around everything?
Yes. Also because due to the fact that we have Mickey and the porta potty place on one side, we want to put in a swimming pool. And the only space where we could do that is
On the backside?
on the back side. If you can put back the right, it's here. So this is the road, and so we have very limited privacy if you want. But it was the only way in order not to be close to the industrial zone.
Right, so show me where you're going to put all this new white fencing. I didn't-
All around the property, that's the
And the front also?
the front also, but the only 8 foot is this side.
And how high is the rest of it?
So the rest of the fence, we are requesting, if it's possible, to have it 6 foot, because having it 4 feet here, it means no privacy while using the pool at all. So because this is quite a busy road, it really would limit significantly the privacy while using the property.
But it's a very unusual location because the industrial business is right behind you, but there's no other house on Queens Lane that has fenced off their entire property like a compound like you're trying to do. Most of the houses are modest houses, and they're open to the street.
I would say it's not just Queens Lane. I mean, it's most of East Hampton.
Yeah.
You know,
So, I
I
mean,
could understand, I mean, I heard stockade fencing, sorry, but like white vinyl fencing,
Right, right.
but you're asking for like a white 6-foot vinyl fence to go in your entire property, including the street, and also 8 foot. I mean,
It's a wall.
it's a huge wall.
The issue with this particular lot, when we bought it, we were told maybe a bit commercially by the broker that that area is not the prettiest, obviously in town, and that sort of putting in a nice home would be quite well received in the sense that it would sort of lift up a bit the atmosphere of the area, which is a little tired and small properties that have been around for a very long time. And so the idea there is to sort of contribute to beautifying the area, which is really close to the industrial zone. And this is a really unique situation because we're literally by Mickey's Carton and the porta potty place. We didn't know about the porta potty place. It's our fault for not doing due diligence.
Right, so why don't you think about evergreens, which are going to be much better,
We're gonna do that too.
but, two?
Yes.
Once you put evergreens in front of this fencing, the back of the evergreens are going to die, which isn't going to be in your interest, so.
I will say, sorry,
Go on,
Rick.
Rick.
So if if the object is to have a beautiful house that that improves the neighborhood, but you're going to fence it off to everyone and you're going to have evergreen fencing that no one can even see your house, it's kind of hard to understand the argument from our perspective on why we should accept this.
Believe me, it is the ugliest thing to look at. It is really very unsettling, particularly the porta potty spot. I mean,
Right, so why don't you
It
think,
makes us reconsider the whole project.
but you're well underway with a multi-million-dollar home. I mean, I was amazed when I drove into the driveway what I found, because it's a beautiful home. And you're in a very sort of challenging lot. So,
But that's why we hope to have to have your understanding, because it is really, really miserable.
well, it can't be that miserable. You haven't moved in yet, but I mean.
No, but you're living on the site, and it's noisy and it's ugly, and in particular from the second floor, but also the first one, but in particular the second floor, anything that we can be doing to moderate the view of that is really what we're trying to accomplish.
Right, so Mickey was very helpful to me, but he's fenced and screened in the whole right. Yeah,
Well,
but
they'll
they grow,
grow.
but they grow. He's got a very sophisticated irrigation system. He showed me the irrigation system. So, I mean, he's already started what is going to be the salvation for your property.
Well, my understanding was that that was a condition that they had to meet in order to get the opportunity to store more vehicles there. At a hearing that happened probably a year ago, we were only informed after the fact.
Right, but if you could put in competing evergreens with his evergreens, you're going to find that the hollow centers are all dead because they can't grow when there's no light. So I would take advantage of what he's already started and maybe think about evergreens elsewhere. But I cannot see this property all fenced in. I think if you're trying to beautify the neighborhood, this is going to be a sign to your neighbors that you really want nothing to do with them by fencing in your property like a compound.
Look, I struggle to understand your point of view in the sense that how we're going to be able to enjoy this place with no privacy at all on the road side and on the north, whatever, east side, close to porta potty storage and
But you knew this when you purchased the lot. This is not something that happened overnight. You knew this when you purchased this lot. So I think you need to work, I think you need to come up with a different solution, because I cannot see us approving a totally fenced-in compound on this location.
Okay, that comes to as a surprise to me, in the sense that I thought that to the extent that the fence would be 4 feet, that would be approved by default.
You can put 4 feet fencing in anywhere, and we don't even want to know about it.
Right.
So I think if you wanted to put 4-foot fencing in the front, you could do that. But I think that street is open and it's quaint, and when you get down to the residential area.
Sorry, I have to
Well, when you get up towards the Springs fireplace, it's not, but when you go the other way, it is. You're the first house of that row of houses, so
there is a commercial activity also on the other side of the street.
yeah, there's a big industrial building, but.
Right. That's why we're trying to make this as residential as possible.
So you're trying to change the character of an established neighborhood, and I kind of understand that, but the character is established.
But we are really on the border of that.
He's the first house.
So if you go
I understand,
south,
but-
it's fully residential. If you go north, it's fully industrial. So we're just trying to keep it residential.
Well, Diane, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the material that you're suggesting, this white vinyl, I think is totally inappropriate for the whole neighborhood. And of course, and this 4-foot fence, which we have no jurisdiction over, you can do whatever you want. But I don't think you want to isolate yourself behind
I think that we're talking about two different things, right? So I would like to separate the two questions, because one is the fence around the property, more than 4 feet, right? And the other one is really this side, which is our biggest issue. And so I'm also happy to separate the two questions, but this is really the issue that is impacting us very directly.
So is it fair to say the more important part is the screening from the porta potty and the Mickeys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that the board is right in pointing out the section of the code, it's 255-1131, that says where legitimate needs for privacy exist due to proximity to streets or other dwellings, for example, can usually be achieved by hedges, shrubs, or other living fences that have little of the negative impacts as set forth above, and the negative impacts are that diminish the visual attributes of the town by creating a walled and urban look. So would you be willing to reconsider the fencing on this part, and maybe what Member Ray suggested, have hedges or something else that's not fully enclosed on that side in exchange for getting the fence in the commercial
Yeah.
side? So,
Because also from a sort of a experience of the drivers or whatever, whoever lives in the area, honestly, looking at this is nobody's advantage. It's nobody's pleasure.
Right.
And the porta potties are well visible from the street as well.
Right, but the solution is a fence or it's evergreen shrubing. So you don't seem to acknowledge the evergreen shrubbing option. Why don't you acknowledge that?
I personally don't think is as effective in blocking the view.
Well, it'd be much more effective because you can get 10, 12, 15 feet arborvitae in there and you'll never see these porta
But it will
potties.
take a long time to grow.
If you buy them,
They grow quickly.
if you buy 8 or 10 feet tall, you're 6 feet above.
May I ask a question in return? What is the downside? Because it is so ugly, whose enjoyment are we trying to prevent?
Hang on. Here's what I suggest. Because from what I'm hearing of people on the board, you're not going to get approval from what you presented today. So the key is for you to go back and find something that, if you're to come back to us, that is palatable to this board. So my suggestion would be, first of all, go to the building department. I don't know if you've done this already, and find out what you can and cannot do with fencing. And then ask yourself, what can I do without having to go back to the architectural review board to get what I want? That you can build, as we say, as of right, without having to get permission to do it. Second thing is talk with a landscaper, someone who knows what they're doing, and ask, this is what I want to do. How do you recommend we do the screening? And everyone seems to be saying, and I agree, that evergreen hedges will probably accomplish what you want. And there's no reason why you can't do both. But that's my recommendation, is because it sounds like I think you came here not understanding fully what the regulations are about fencing. So you may find that your solution may actually be without having to get permission to come to us.
I'm sorry, I apologize for taking so much time, but this is really disheartening because we're dealing with a horror show in the area of noise and of smell and of, which we didn't know about the smell, and of really an ugly spectacle. If it was just a question of planting something, we would have thought about it already, and we will probably do that too. But we need the fencing, we need privacy, because that is really, I don't see how we can enjoy the property with that. We were always told that we could put 6-foot fences on the side that is not the road, and 4-foot fences on the side of the road. So that was what we understand was the policy. So the reason why we came here is because we wanted to ask for your permission to have slightly higher fences on the front and on the Mickey side. Now, I understand that if this is not something that you like, or maybe we can also talk about different fences. We're not married to the fence that we picked. We just picked it because it looked like a house. But we're open to work on that for sure. It's just a question of achieving privacy from the industrial zone.
So I would recommend, as Member Guittard has just done, to revisit all of these options that you've probably researched. Think of something else instead of the white vinyl fencing. I don't think any of us will be inclined to approve 6-foot fencing on Queens Lane. I'm not even quite sure where you are proposing it exactly. If it's right on your property line, all of the fencing, I would be completely disinclined to approve that myself. So I would go with his recommendation, with Frank's recommendation, to go to the building department and see what you can do as of right. And then, one thing is we could possibly do the 8-foot as you are requesting on that side that is the most trouble part. But I don't see that we can approve the other two sides at 6 feet.
So basically.
And you're enclosing your entire yard.
Where we stand is, based on what you said, is 4 feet here.
Which you can do, but, you know.
We can work on the 8 here, and then it would be 6 here?
Well, there's 6 already there.
Right, but we want our fence.
David, are they allowed to have 6-foot fences on those unusual side yards?
Well, there is already one that is 6
Yeah, but
feet.
it may or not be legal, yeah.
That's not a street?
No, that's
So
the
it's another
neighbors.
property.
Okay.
It's a residential property.
That's right there.
But can we get the approval for the 8 on the Mickey side then?
Well, we're not going to get approval for a white 8-foot fence. I mean, we might think about a stockade. If you went back and thought about a stockade fence, which would blend in with anything you plant, that would be a much better proposal.
Can we get an approval for a stockade fence?
We need the specifications for the stockade fence and the kind of renderings that show it, right?
Yeah, I think ultimately we just need to know exactly what you're going to propose now, after having had this review.
You should go to the building department.
I think that's the best.
Most people
advice.
don't try and match their house and their fence. I mean, I understand you want an all-white palette there, but the white fence.
We are not married to the color of the fence.
Okay, good. I would think about stockade fencing.
Okay,
Yeah.
but then
And
it's
also-
basically, what I'm taking away from our conversation is these 3 different heights.
Well, here's where I am hearing, and here's where I feel. I'm open to an 8-foot fence that is, because there's the top of the triangle just to the right, that appears to be like the back of a commercial. So I think I'm open to perhaps an 8-foot fence, not to the street, but
The
to
street is here,
right, not all 8 feet to there, no.
right? We
But-
can stop where the porta potty stops.
Well,
Which
it'd
is
have
here.
to make sure it can't be in the front yard legally. So,
I don't know what you would consider the front yard.
Again,
there is a-
that's
there
why
is a
you need to go
legal
to the
de-
building
there is a
department.
legal
I think that's the
The house
best.
is sideways to the street, that's the problem.
Yeah,
so it sounds like, I mean, I would be amenable to maybe an 8-foot fence, not in white, because I've never seen this
That's okay.
architecture review board approve anything above 6 feet. That's, it's either stockade in a commercial district, or it's an open agricultural fence. Now, that one over there, I don't understand to the left side.
Yes,
I don't understand why that needs to be about 6 feet.
but there is already one that is 6 feet.
I'm saying that
By the
I don't
neighbor.
see any logic or any strong argument why it needs to go.
Well, if we consider this the front yard, then this is the backyard.
No, but the front yard is, there's between the side of the house and the street. It's not your front of
So
the house.
this?
That's the front yard, yes.
Right.
You built the house sideways for a whole
Right.
bunch of reasons.
So this is not the front then?
I'm saying you can just confirm this with the building department. If you want to build a 6-foot fence there, then I think I would consider it. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying that sounds reasonable. I think the biggest for everyone is the street.
So there, and I hear you, there, our proposal could also be that we do 6 only up to here. So that we can have a bit more privacy for the pool and the rest is 4.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. So again, I would take your survey to the
Okay,
building
we'll come back
department.
with this
And-
alternative proposal.
Yeah, because,
Different material, different color,
Mhm.
and.
and different height.
And different height in this section, and
Yeah,
we'll.
Also, now, the survey, you can't draw on a survey. You can't like hand draw.
No, I
You have
know.
to,
We
the
need-
surveyor has to do it,
Which
When you
costs a
come
lot
back.
of time.
yes.
so.
Mind you, and then I'm gonna leave you, and I thank you for your time. We don't even have the budget right now for a fence. So we are in the process of finishing the house. When we finish the house, but because we wanna understand what we can agree on, then we started already with this process.
Okay,
All right.
all right.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a moment to fix the microphone phone per LTV.
Okay. And then we will go back to,
Hello?
we'll go back to your applications, Frank.
Okay.
Let's go.
You got a lot done.
Okay, let's
Matt, where does it go? Where does it? It's not on.
Oh, it's not transmitting? Fine.
Here's not plugged in. It's all the way back there, right? Everything looks plugged in. Everything's plugged in.
Yeah.
This looks, wait, well, can you look up here again? Yeah. What's that?
Bear with us as we work out the technical difficulties.
What are we looking for?
Hey, Matt, if we move over to here, would that be better?
No, it's okay. It's just I thought you guys would just be able to flip a switch. We can pick it up with other microphones, so we don't need to delay any further.
Okay, we'll just continue.
Okay.
So
All right,
everybody, just
thank you.
keep your voice up when you come up and talk the best you can.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to return to, on the agenda, extension of time, number 2, Driftwood Lobby, tax map number 300-110-1-13. This is care of Land Planning Services, and I think Jean Galante is here. This application is member Guitar.
Okay. So first part of this application is for an extension of time before we get to the meat of this. This is an application for an extension of time for a resolution passed in October of 2018, 5 years ago. This is for a commercial property resort hotel on the beach next to Hither Hills State Park and off Montauk Highway. That resolution was for, and let me read what that was. It was much more extensive than what they're asking now. Apologies. Okay. The resolution stated, approved, construct a new 964 square foot lobby with a new covered entrance over a 674 square foot deck and hallway, and construct 2 new 600 square foot condominium units above the lobby with second story covered decks. So this is, do we need to explain anything more about, for an extension of time to get into the meat of this, or?
Well, so that's the resolution from October 11, 2018?
Correct.
And now we're extending that, and then it's a modification. Is that correct? Okay.
So you want to do so it would be modifying the resolution for a greatly scaled back application.
Okay, understood.
So they want to extend time.
Yeah, the intention was they have a long-range plan, because you had a question about why we were even worried about modification when it's a fraction of what it was. They've been back and forth, and when we started the plans to do a modification, an extension of time modification, it was going to be a little more extensive. When it came right down to it, they need to get these doors in, and so we just kept moving on with the extension of time and modification.
Okay, well, I'd like to make motion to approve the extension of time for this application.
Okay, second. Okay. Chip seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, so now we can review the application before us.
And let me just go ahead and read it. And so this again is Driftwood Lobby, tax map number 300-110-1-13-1-13, yes, 2178 Montauk Highway.
Okay, so, go back, just go through the photos so everyone can be familiar with themselves. So the proposed work before us is for new doors and side lights at the front and rear entry of the lobby. These would be full height glass windows and doors. And I believe the color would be white, but please correct me.
Alpine white, yes.
Alpine white, though the renderings provided to us show it a darker color. The property is located far from Montauk Highway and on the water side of the door, and the water side door is set back from the roof overhang, I see no reason why we wouldn't grant this approval. So that's the rear side, so that's just gonna be opened up. So the walls extend just past the 2 double hung windows on either side. It's just gonna become like a glass front back. It'll be nice so you can see through to the ocean from the
I
parking lot.
saw a rendering, wasn't there?
Yeah, so we can go back to the 2 renderings.
Uh-huh.
Now that one is showing 4 panes of glass as opposed.
Sorry, could you make it bigger, Dan, please?
Yeah. So this would be the parking lot. No, this is actually the water side, I think.
That's the water side.
Yeah, so the rendering shows appears to be like 4 panes of glass, fixed panes of glass, and this would be window, door, window. So it is a little different, but you get an idea of the scope here is pretty minimal. And there it is from this.
Yeah, this gives you the sense of then the openness that
Right.
So you're saying it's window, so it's 1 door, glass, and 2 side lights.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think, I mean, there's a low-end window proposal here that I think has a sketch of.
And you're right, the finish doesn't look white,
It's like
it looks
that.
darker.
This is a similar, it would be white.
White, okay.
Correct, in the Alpine white, and the spec sheet kind of shows how it would be the stationary panels on the side with the door in the center.
And the Alpine white is depicted somewhere? There's a sample or no?
No, we don't have a sample of the white,
I
it's
mean, it's
just.
white, but it's.
No, actually, no, it took me forever to find that actual door setup. I called Lowen and I went through so many things, and in all that, I did not send you the picture of the Alpine white, but that's their basic white that they do. That's what we've done at a bunch of the other condos too. Actually, at this complex, we did 2 units on the east side, on the lower end on the east side last year, and they were also with Lowen in Alpine white.
I will say there were whales off of.
Oh, right. You had a show this morning.
I had a show.
Or whenever you had it.
So I have no objections to this. I don't know if anybody else has any comments.
No.
I think white is white. yeah.
Improvement, yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Okay.
so we'll go ahead.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second?
Aye.
You have a second?
Yep.
You second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So I think we're all set.
We're good?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think so. All right. On to agricultural overlay, number 7. GZMDW LLC residence, tax map number 300-189-6-8.3. This is at 6 Tyson Lane in East Hampton. We should have representatives from Fleetwood, McMullen and Sanabria Architects, and this is Member Benson's application.
Yes.
We'll let you, we'll let her introduce first.
Sanabria for Fleetwood McMullen Sanabria Architects.
Okay.
Steven Sanabria. So we're here before you because we are just outside of the agricultural overlay district.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna let, our normal procedure is our board member will present the application, and then you'll have your opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Okay, this is an application for a new build, basically on a property that has not had a building on it before. It is a 1-acre property. It is surrounded by, Tyson Lane is a private lane off of Further Lane, and it is surrounded by other residential properties, basically. They are asking for a 2-story, single-family residence with a finished basement, attached 2-car garage, covered porches, generator, walkways, and a masonry barbecue. This is a typical, we have very extensive plans. It's a typical Francis Fleetwood Hampton's summer cottage that is relatively or comparatively well, not exactly modest in scale, but at 5,944 feet, you know that you could have built bigger, but it does have a very complete basement with an astonishing amount of bathrooms.
Only in the basement?
Well, there are 7, I believe, in the basement. In the entire house, there are 15 bathrooms.
Okay.
Yes, it's an incredulous amount. Anyway, I suppose we should look at the renderings. I mean, this is I think it feels very familiar to everybody, this house. It's very typical of the neighborhood and of Hampton's architecture in general. You know, okay.
You want to let
Would you like to?
the applicant to go ahead?
Yes, would you like to elucidate more on the house? Because, you know,
Yeah, of course. Again, as I said, I'm sorry to interrupt there before. My name is Steven Snyder from Fleetwood Snyder Architects, representing GZMDW LLC. As you kind of perfectly said, it is a smaller house than we are allowed by code to build. Not just in size of square footage, but also in height. It is a little bit smaller on purpose. The neighbors are actually all family members. So we are kind of aware of usually of landscaping and that kind of thing to make sure that we're buffered. We are not on further lane, like you said. And so we are kind of tucked in and private towards the water more. We are outside of the agricultural overlay district. We do abut it. And we are kind of keeping in very simple and gray materials. Shingles on the outside, trim, the same thing. And wood windows. There is a stone water table on the bottom, just to give a little bit of an accent, and columns every now and then. What else can I tell you? The fireplaces are Glengarry Danish blend. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if you need any samples or if you'd like us to kind of go into any other details.
You brought samples?
The ARB, I'm sure you'd like it.
let's see what you
have.
We do have a sample of the trim and of the shingle.
It did look, I was going to ask if it looked gray.
You want to bring them up so we can see?
Yeah. Thank you.
And it will be on mahogany, which is
That's heavy.
Wow.
Thank you.
and the custom colors on the back.
Smells freshly painted.
That is not for you.
Oh, I see, okay. Well, these can be entered into the,
They are,
Okay.
absolutely.
file these away, Julie.
Well, I didn't realize that that all the neighbors are family members, and it seems to me that you have exercised a kind of like accommodation and restraint and everything to have a new build here that feels like it belongs.
Okay, would you?
I mean, I couldn't actually see there's a big combination lock on the back. I could only see basically the driveway, but I knew the property from the people who lived there before. So I realized, you're not actually on an ag reserve. But it's very, it seems to me that this is meant to be very harmonious with everything else that exists in that neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Did we look at your pictures?
Well, my picture is, I don't think so. I don't think we've seen it. My picture is only the picture of the driveway.
Of the padlock?
Yeah, the padlock and the.
So what is this?
This is,
It's right there.
this is the existing lawn where the house is going to go, right?
Facing east, that's the on the empty lot.
It was Helmut Long's
Yeah, it's
vegetable
the
garden.
whole empty lot.
Oh. You're gonna bring up the stone basement?
That's facing south.
Should.
It is, I believe, facing west, yeah, west.
Is this the center of a field?
Yeah, that's why
other
we stood
houses
some
surround?
center to give you,
It's
to give you views
totally.
of all the neighbors.
I mean, one comment I have, but it is zoned to be developed, is it's kind of nice having the field. It gives some relief to the whole, like, all of a sudden, we're adding a lot of, we're sort of making that whole, we're adding density to it.
We are actually planning to keep that, I'm sorry to interrupt, that center section as kind of a lawn, as a buffer between the properties specifically for that reason. So while we can't not take up some land, we're trying to kind of be respectful and kind of cognizant of that.
Yeah, there's no pool plan for the property at all, so a large chunk of the property.
There are no
has been
accessory
removed.
structures proposed for this.
Okay. So are all that, I mean, it is legally, they're all separate lots, but it's good to know in this instance, you're saying that all of the surrounding properties.
Every property that touches this property is a family home.
Okay.
Currently.
What's the thinking behind the columns that land on the stone base? Can we pull up that rendering?
It is in keeping with one of the other homes in the area, and so it is kind of a relation to that, but it also is something like, the whole house is meant to look like it's sitting on a stone base, an older home that would have, a stone water table, same thing with the column.
Can we just go through the renderings?
So the stone foundation work goes all the way around the house, and you're mimicking the bases for the columns with that.
Yes.
Keep going.
There.
Keep going. The next
Okay.
one really shows it. That one.
That's what you're pointing out.
That faces the lawn.
Yeah, it's
Gotta tell you, I don't love the stone bases on the columns. I don't know of any historic precedent for that. Looking at, turn of the century houses, usually the columns go right down to the floor.
Yeah, no, this is not, it wasn't meant to be a historic nod, but more of an in keeping with the other homes that are in the area that have that stone base.
I mean, no one's ever gonna see it except the people that live there, so.
I mean, I'm not gonna, frankly, given that this is a flag lot and one of them is the ocean, and you'd be so far from the beach to ever you wouldn't even actually see that base. If this were on a public street, I might, but it's
fine.
I'm fine with this.
I'm fine too, it's just unusual,
It's a big project, but it seems to me that you've been very sensitive to all the issues we might raise. And I'm so curious about 15 bathrooms. I can't help but bring it up a second
replaces the
time.
pool.
That's right.
Could we look at the survey, just quickly go back to the survey? I think we saw it, but what is the maximum size that can be built?
The maximum size is 5950. And we are on total first and second floor, 5440, just under 500 square feet less. Just over 500 square feet less.
So it's pretty much the maximum.
I would have thought they would have been allowed to build more.
No.
Can we look at the light fixtures, the sconces? Just make sure we.
Yeah, make sure we have all the materials.
They have specs here for the light fixtures, the generator, which is quite close to the house.
Oh, yes, let's bring up that. I know there was an evaluation from the planner, yes, from Dan? Do you have any observations, Daniel, about this application?
Has it worked out to say my name too? I guess I'm Dan Gross, I'm the planner. Sure. Yeah, the only thing was, the only concern was that the survey and the plans had like a slightly different numbers for the GFA and the.
Correct, we inadvertently actually included the attached garage into our finished GFA numbers. And the code does not, the East Hampton Town Code does not count square footage for the garage as GFA. So we removed that, giving us over, that was 400 square feet or so. So we got an additional 400 square feet less than we were gonna build, than we're allowed to build.
So does the survey list the GFA?
Yeah, which is the accurate number?
Our plan is correct. The survey doesn't have the GFA.
Survey wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So which document has the incorrect number?
Our site plan, site plan.
Where's
Yeah, that should be updated, right?
Where's the correct number?
The corrected site plan, actually, we were just reviewing the TAM, and we noticed that our calculations were incorrect, so we modified our site plan just for this meeting. We didn't-
Okay. So you'll resubmit the site plan?
Yeah, corrected.
With correct GFA numbers?
And then for the survey, was the lot coverage was different too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be, I know sometimes we count to the exterior of the framing, but sometimes the surveyor will count to, and then plus maybe they're a little bit more accurate as far as, well, edge of terraces and stuff like that.
The lot coverage, the coverage numbers would have to be on the survey.
Yes.
So you'd have to go by the survey, even if your site
We'll
plan.
match our site plan.
We're well.
But the GFA, we have to make sure that that number is correct.
Absolutely.
So what is that?
Ideally,
number?
all the numbers are the same also, because it
What's the
gets
number for
confusing.
this
Yeah, what is it?
GFA? So we have it?
The allowed is 5950. We are at 5440.
Okay, so on the resolution, it'll say 5440.
Okay. And just note that does not include like 3,600 square feet of basement. Finished basement.
7 bathrooms.
With 7 bathrooms. So Dan, also regarding the generator, its location, I think, was it? And
Yeah, we were just looking for, I guess, confirmation about the.
We are at 15 feet away from our property line, within the setbacks, or over 15 feet. But the neighboring property has also a flag lot, so it'll be an additional 20 feet away from an actual neighbor, so it'll be 35 feet away from a non-family neighbor. And the generator also has sound deadening around it on all 4 sides.
Wait a minute, you said it'll be 35 feet away from what?
Any non-family member neighbor.
But I thought you said all the neighbors
We're
were family.
They are. We're 15 feet, we're within the setback, so we are within.
Who is the non-family member, the non-family neighbor that's just 35 feet away from?
That's to the east side.
There's another flag lot.
There's
here
another
that
flag
runs
lot.
Adjacent to.
So that
another
is
family.
what's touching our number 6 Tyson. So there's an additional 20 feet. That flag lot is owned by a family member.
Okay.
It is owned by a family.
It is. So it just, in response to the distance of that generator, it's additional.
Is 12 Tyson Lane? That's a separate,
That's a separate.
okay, that's the neighbor in question. Okay. Huh.
So you see there's still a flag in between ours and the neighbor.
That would be this one here.
so how does that comport with the noise ordinance and all that?
The only issue with it is the noise ordinance is technically measured from the property line in the town.
Yeah, no, right.
So that's, I guess, maybe that's better.
No, by all means, you're correct.
Okay, yeah, so it would technically have to like show proof that at the property line, it would have to be, I think 65 decibels daytime.
Okay.
And then 50 at
At
nighttime.
nighttime is different.
Yeah.
Okay, so with our sound attenuation on the outside, we can do the calculations and submit that. Is that what you'd like?
Yes.
Yeah.
We will need that, yeah. I also had a question about any fencing that's existing or proposed, or mainly proposed, I guess, for this.
There is no
Project.
proposed fencing on this property currently. Right now, all the neighbors have their own fencing, so we wouldn't pool fencing or stockade or whatever else, but right now we don't. have any proposed fencing on it.
And no driveway gate? I thought I saw something on a survey.
Yeah, at some point, we will be doing a driveway gate, not in this application for permit either. We pulled it off of the permit.
Okay, okay. Well, any further comments? Diane? And Dan, you, anything else?
No, sorry. No, everything else was,
Is that it?
yeah, we found everything else compliant.
Okay.
What do you think? Frank? Chip?
I'm fine with it. I mean, given that it's a flag lot yeah, I'm fine with approving this.
I mean, that was my inclination.
Yeah, it's a scale that I'd prefer not to see. It's all family. It's all in the family for now. So are you ready
Okay,
to?
well, then.
Do we have everything? We have lighting, we have
Did we
everything?
review the lighting? Do we need to look at the sconce?
We found it to be,
We have the generator.
Okay.
I think we need to, what do we need to do about the generator prior to, just leave it off of this or?
That's probably the best bet for right now.
Yeah, I think we have to do that just to make sure that it will comply with the noise ordinance. So I think we have to leave it off of this. If this is going to be approved today, if there's a vote on this, then we need to take it off of that.
Just pull the generator, then come back with a separate application just for the generator showing that it's compliant with the noise.
Okay.
We can do that. We will pull the generator off of it.
All right. So I think
So
that's all.
we'll
Yeah.
make a motion to approve it with,
Yes.
About the generator.
with the
Exclusive of the
exclusive of the generator. Okay, gentlemen, so I make a
And the
motion.
square footage.
Sorry?
She made a motion?
No.
Not yet.
Do we need to say the square footage
Yes.
for this meeting? Should we, I think we should probably.
As reflected on whatever
State the square
Plans are,
footage,
right?
which is 5440. I would.
And that's on the survey or
Our site plan,
Site plan.
architect's site plan.
the architect's site plan? Okay.
5440 GFA.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can go ahead, Diane.
Okay. So I make a motion to accept this application as presented with the understanding that it does not include the generator and the confirmation that the square footage of 5,440 feet is the final.
As reflected on the architect's plans.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to oppose.
So pass it.
It passes.
Great. Thank you very much.
So when am I gonna get a new site plan?
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. We lost counsel. We'll go on to number 8. This is View 49 LLC, tax map number 300-196-1-21. Louis Delesia, here you are. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome back. This continues, and hopefully we'll be moving on today.
Sounds great.
I don't even know where to begin with this, frankly, because it's been such a long run. But I guess what I'll do is, I believe the latest that I've received in your submissions is a letter dated July 31st, 2023. And this was in response to our last incomplete letter, I believe, yes? So you have submitted current floor plans, elevations, electrical plans, a new survey, the cabana drawings, prior approval versus proposed, plans, elevations, and renderings detailing rear and garage elevation changes, prior approval versus proposed, lighting specifications, and also the heat pump specifications, I think you included.
Right.
The generator has been removed from the scope of the project at the moment.
Correct.
And then all of, you've been very thorough in highlighting all of the changes. We can go through the elevations. You can tell us sort of the history of this all, so we can all resituate ourselves with this application perhaps.
Okay.
And have identified changes in materials, anything like that. So maybe we can just go through that with you.
Okay. So my name's Louis D'Alessia. I had presented this on my end as two files. I guess I'm not sure what you have. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yep. Well, you want me to go through the whole history? So I'm going to go to the previous. I split it up into what was voted on it at one point, and then what may still be remaining to be discussed, but it's a lot. So if you want to, I have a 47-page of what we discussed for the past 2 years almost. If we could start with that one, if you want to.
Maybe just a summary, a quick summary.
Yeah.
Okay, very quickly. We made some changes to the rear facade. We added solar panels required by the HERS rating. We added a column for symmetry. We took away a exterior fireplace and put a pair of French doors. We added a deck to the rear facade, pair of French doors. There was a light fixture required for code. The shingles were approved as a semi-transparent stain. We changed it to naturally weathered Alaskan yellow cedar. There's a garage elevation which had 3 large barn lights, which in retrospect were really just highlighting a small awning roof or eyebrow roof above the garage doors. So we didn't think that was very useful. We changed those to recessed downlights. I believe that's it for the back of the house. The pool house is essentially the same structure. It was relocated about 10 feet one direction and 5 foot the other direction. Just seeing if I'm missing anything else.
So just if I can interrupt you for one moment. I know that your original approval from 2021 included the main residence, a pool, and the pool house, correct?
Yeah.
And then in subsequent submissions, application, there were various modifications. Among them, there was the relocation of the pool house. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the current survey that you submitted most recently indicates a proposed pool house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was submitted in July.
No, the one that's most recently updated, September 6th.
And then there was another from September 6th.
Right, which still says proposed cabana. So my question to you on that is, that has been built.
It has been.
And what I am unclear about is where the location, just said it was relocated.
Yeah.
And that relocation was never approved.
It's not depicted on this survey.
It's not depicted on this current survey that
the relocation, the new location is on the survey. The old location isn't on the survey. So I don't know if you'd want to see that dimensional shift again.
Well,
I think she's asking if the approval.
Where was the one that was approved? Like, how far are you moving?
So in other words, what happened was the original approval didn't include a tennis court, right? Which we have no purview over. But when they added the tennis court, some things shifted.
Yeah.
So the pool shifted, and then they eliminated a fire pit, and so things shifted. And I believe that the pool house may have shifted
100%.
more north than like.
I honestly don't recall. If we're able to look at the old files,
What are we looking at here?
That's the old file.
Old approval.
That's
So
the
it's
old.
That's what's approved.
That was approved. This is,
Where we are now?
that's
And-
current.
We've presented a number of surveys in the past, maybe late 2021, that show the dimensional shift. It shows prior and new location on a survey. I don't know if you'd be able to call that up right now, but.
This is from the
All right,
past,
can't
not
see. I
current.
want to see.
Yeah, like,
Dan, can you pull up the approved one again?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, oh, it didn't move very far.
I think it,
Next to the house we approved the last one. First lot. The very first lot.
yes, the one
The
that's
one we approved
existing.
last time is 3 lots down.
This one.
3 lots.
3 lots down. Yes, got it.
That's 3 lots down.
So yeah, I guess the question, and I'm sorry, I interrupted you in your presentation, was how is it that this was built in the relocated area without actually coming for approval?
I guess my response is that we have a letter that it was approved and then rescinded in error. So there's a number of things that are built that we still don't have the resolution on, but we always discussed like a gentleman's agreement that that things were in order and there was always just one minor thing that we needed to do, which ended up being the generator at large. But that pool house relocation was approved almost a year ago. It was in October.
My recollection was that it was rescinded because there was, and it turned out to be a mistake on the part of the planner, but there was a question about the patio extending into the outside of the building envelope or something like that. I can't remember.
Something strange with reading the setbacks.
Connection, yeah, so there was a reason for that rescinding. But I go back to my question, you don't have a resolution for that.
I don't have a resolution for that, no.
Okay,
But I mean, also,
I just wanted to establish that. That's
yeah,
all. Okay.
because we have discussed this. I mean, we don't have a resolution for the deck, but we've all seen the deck being built.
Right, but that we were working through with the modifications. I understand that, but to go ahead and build the pool house, which is a whole separate structure, was a surprise.
Let me just make clear, there's no gentleman agreement.
Yeah,
Right.
we don't operate that
We
way.
don't do gentlemen's agreements. It's either approved or not.
Okay, I apologize. I thought it was
Yeah,
language
okay.
I heard here, but I was mistaken.
I just wanted to establish that, that's all. It's not, I'm not recriminating you in any way. It's now built, or it's in the process of being built, and there was never an approval for it. So much like the earlier modifications happened without approval, this now happened without approval. So we keep kind of making this happen again and again. So you're here today to get approval for all of the modifications, correct? We can look through, you've enumerated them, but maybe we could look through the elevations, just make sure everybody's on the same page. Do we have new renderings, everything?
Are the changes bubbled in a drawing?
Yes, yes. So that's why, if you agree, we can go through them. Yeah, okay. Okay, so. There's another version where you have them all bubbled, yes?
You just keep going. Yeah, at one point we were told we have to submit without bubbles for record, and
Okay,
then we have prior approval.
okay, here we go. All right, so we have the changes to the area under the overhang, the upper decks, second story deck, which was the elimination of the fireplace and the addition of the 3 French doors, all of that, and then the second story deck. So I think you all recall this, right? Frank, you recall this?
Right. So this is actually good. So previously approved as above and under consideration may have been built.
Right, proposed is really existing at this point. Okay. You can keep going, Dan. Was there no more elevations with the bubbles?
They come up again for the garage.
All right. Okay, so these are the barn lights that were eliminated, soffit lighting in the brow. I think that's
And then we had the shingle staining. That's
right. Okay, so that's all being depicted, and these
You're
are,
adding the lights?
no, they've taken these out. And they're
Coming off.
those, yeah, they weren't put in, they're putting soffit lighting in the brow that's over the garage doors.
This is an actual photograph or drawing?
No.
It's a
Right.
rendering.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Those are the lighting specs. There are two sizes of the lights that were approved, so that's. And there's path lighting specs. So is that site plan?
You know what, I'm sorry, this is not my latest file. I don't believe so. I'll double check right now, but
This is the previous one, I think, was presented last.
This is the previous, so if we keep going, there's another?
it may be accurate.
Yeah, he made a separate package for
Okay.
that. The new stuff is.
Okay. All right. I apologize. You can go back forward.
Okay.
So what about the other two elevations, like the north
Right.
and west?
No changes aside from the shingle stain. So I think they're at the beginning of the PDF, where we kind of just show them for record.
And the only change, as I recall, was eliminating soffit lighting on that front facade.
We never, we honestly never intended for soffit lighting. There was a note at one point for the possibility of it, and we were told that
Well, there was wiring there, that's why. So was that eliminated?
there honestly wasn't, but there's no wiring and there's no. Mhm.
All right, so this is the, west, right?
West is above.
Rather, yeah,
East is
west and
below.
east. And there were no changes there, right? Except for the barn lighting.
Yeah, again, the point of these pages was, we were told to have a few pages that are just for the building department for record, that when this gets approved, it doesn't have the bubbles on it.
Okay.
The front facade, no changes.
Site-wise, is there anything from the house to the street that's changed?
No, the house has been what it's been for a very long time.
But like gates, fences?
Well, so that's what we'll look at that next.
Okay.
But is that part of the modification?
I think part of the confusion early on is we presented one piece of paper, which whether it should have been called a modification and application were two separate things. I mean, we had like the tennis court on there, and maybe one other add to the exterior. So I think it should have been two documents and it was on one document.
Okay. So what are we doing?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
So are the gates and fences part of a separate application?
Oh, so then
Or are we
I have a
reviewing those?
separate PDF where regarding the gates, I could respond to this planner's memo. I guess I don't know if they want to be approved tonight or not. It says we're in compliance with some things, but then it says it should be discussed, so we just
Yeah.
keep presenting,
So maybe we just, we can look at them tonight?
please. So, I
Yeah,
mean, of course.
and then just to understand what the issues might be.
Sure.
But I think, I don't know, does everybody feel like we can go ahead with the modifications? I'm only, to the house, to the main residence. I'm only hesitant with the pool house because of the relocation, not quite understanding where it is. I mean, I can see it on the survey, but, you know, how it shifted.
So
Or unless everybody feels that that's,
we absolutely have that survey on file that shows the dimensional shift of the pool house.
in our files.
Yes, it would be from October 2022, or if that's when the hearing was, maybe August 2022.
I don't know, Dan, do you have that?
I just have one survey from July, but I don't think it's the right one.
Right, I have one from July 2022.
I think you're right, though, we do have it, I just don't have it with the package with me here. It's probably back in the department.
So how many feet did the pool house move?
Well, that's what I'm trying to determine.
I could find it, but I mean.
Well, just tell us, did it move
On,
20 feet or 5 feet?
remote on,
I have remote it on, yeah. Let me,
and then you can go,
might just take you a little bit to grab.
Okay, so
just try to pull it up, I'll come over.
just see if I can find it.
Stop sharing.
Because it is my understanding that that pool house is a part of this modification application.
Correct.
Yeah,
Well, did the pool house move 5 feet or 20 feet?
I believe it's closer to 10 than 5.
Okay, so move 10 feet over, okay. Does
Yeah.
it really matter in the end?
It's still within the pool setback. You'll see it on that survey that it's 31 feet from the property line.
well, it really matters to me is they haven't built it.
But they haven't built it.
They have.
They have built it,
Yeah.
right, so it's already there, yeah,
Yes.
exactly, yeah. So,
So there are pictures of it.
I think, my suggestion, we keep a running list of what we're approving here. I mean, I've got a list from the applicant, but I just don't know if it's,
Right.
what I have as far as changes to the fenestration and basically changes to the south elevation per the elevation drawing, changes to the east elevation at the garage per the drawings in lighting specification. Pool house relocation. And I think that's all we've talked about, right? And there's other stuff
Yes.
listed here.
Yes. I just think the other things listed by the applicant are sort of a laundry list of things that we had requested needed to be part of the file as well, like other specifications and all the bubbling out of the changes and that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
I think so. Just trying to think what else, like, there was here the removal of exterior fireplace. Oh, that's,
Yeah, so, but I think that as part of your evaluation is like the south facade.
yeah, I'm trying to go through like, all right, what are the changes to the main house? And then like
Louis, what was the
cabana,
date of the
then
residence
site
survey?
things like the gate generator.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
So
That's the one they're talking about?
I'm fine with changes on the house.
Yeah,
No, it's one that says.
yeah. But I think when we review the census, I think there might be some issues. So I think we can keep that separate.
not even get into it.
2022.
Yeah, but he said August.
I mean, the meeting was in October, so. I don't know if usually 2 months.
I don't know what files you have there.
If you can't find it, could you just pull up the pictures that I submitted?
Yeah.
Thank you. So it conforms with the original resolution of being a maximum of 199 square foot cabana or pool house. So that part is fine, it's just the relocation. But I just want you to see it on site. And maybe the next picture is better there. So there it is.
How long has this house been under construction?
2 years?
Well, at least, I've been on the ARB for 2 years on this thing.
Yeah, the approval was 2021.
Modifications to it when I joined.
Okay.
All right, so, you can see it there. That's the location. I didn't go any closer because I wanted to see it that's from Wainscott Hollow Road.
So it moved towards Wainscott Hollow Road, or did it move east, or did it move west?
I think it moved north.
East, I believe it moved me east and maybe slightly north.
I think I might get it.
Is there anything else, Louis?
I don't have the offset of the pool house. If we should go through the planner's memo and everything else, or I don't know if you want to make it the modification first and then say it's additional business. But I'd be happy to go through the comments from the memo.
Yeah, I mean, we can just quickly go through and you can show us the renderings of the proposed fencing and gates. And then we'll just proceed with the modification, okay?
Okay. So the renderings show the driveway gate. It was requested at 5 foot. We brought it down to 4 foot.
So we don't care about it.
So that doesn't,
Anything above ground on an ag overlay.
so if you're, anything above ground on ag overlay?
Yeah, now the issue that we found is that, and you can see this on the survey, a portion of the driveway gate and the call box are actually outside the building envelope.
I have the updated survey that shows the
Well,
15-foot accessory structure setback correctly.
So the September 6th survey that I have is not the most updated one?
I have one as of yesterday.
But you just submitted this one last week, or something like that.
Correct.
This one says September 6th also.
So there's been so many moving parts and questions with Saskis that I keep getting surveys that don't have the envelope, and I had to ask them to please put the envelope back on it. So it's happened almost every time I've asked for a survey. But I'd be happy to hand them if they're worth looking at, and if not.
I do believe it's the one that's up there.
So my question though is, according to the CNRs, don't the structures have to be within the building envelope?
That's what the subdivision said, yeah.
Right, so not the accessory setback? Not the accessory
It
setback,
said all structures within the.
all structures.
So what is the building envelope? That's because it's a very important question. What's the wording of that covenant?
Do you have it?
Yes, and one sec, let's go find that.
Because it's important to distinguish between principal and accessory setback.
I think it just says
What is
building.
Building envelope, so.
So I have that updated survey, if I'm able to submit it, and in conversations with Saskis and Joe Palermo, he said, I mean, of course, there is an accessory structure setback.
All right, well, I mean, I think we'll have to, rather than spend time on this here, it's probably better that we just look at those CNRs more closely. You have it? I have them too, but okay, where is
So
it?
it says, all buildings and structures on the lot shown on the map, excepting driveways and utility lines, but including all other accessory buildings and structures, shall be confined to the building envelope shown on the map, where the setbacks required by zoning code for certain structures like swimming pools or tennis courts necessitate greater setbacks than are shown by the building envelopes. Those greater setbacks shall apply. So, and based on the map from the subdivision, there's about a 20-foot building envelope around the side and rear property line.
So is a gate a structure?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
and the call box is a structure.
Okay, so all structures, including gates, does that include, is a fence a gate, a fence a structure?
Yeah, fence is a component of the gate.
So, but what about a freestanding fence? Is that a structure?
It is.
What are you
technically a
defining a freestanding fence as? Aren't they all freestanding?
I'm just trying to say.
I don't know what a freestanding fence
It says, the covenant says all structures must be in basically the accessories.
No, I just didn't understand the question as to what a freestanding fence was.
I'm trying to say, is there anything that is like a physical structure that's man-made that is not a structure?
I don't believe so.
No.
Okay. So all fences, gates, call boxes need to be in the accessory structure
Need to be
setback?
within the building envelope.
Well, the building envelope is the principal setback, but I'm asking about the accessory.
It doesn't specify an
It
accessory.
says accessory buildings and structures should be also within.
Also within the building envelope.
Everything.
Everything,
Yeah, so it's more restrictive than the code.
correct.
Yeah.
So the cabana appears to be outside of the building envelope.
No, we're
No.
definitely good.
It's not. This is the principal building envelope.
I'm looking at the wrong building.
It's the dotted, the dash, the red dashed line. And here's the cabana, so it's here. It's 8.5 feet from it, approximately. Yeah, something like that.
The principal setback is 20 feet. I drew this.
So that,
It's like a paint color, it's hard to see.
So it's the red?
it's fine.
The 20, so 20 feet side and rear is the principal envelope?
Yes,
Damn, that's generous.
that's the point.
Okay, so half of the gate, is that right? So some of the gate is outside of the accessory envelope,
Right,
is outside of the principal envelope.
right.
Outside the envelope, period.
Yeah, let's just call it the envelope.
So let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
45 minutes on the second case. Yeah.
So when I discussed this with Joe Palermo, he said there should be an accessory structure setback, that the pool setback is double the 15-foot accessory structure setback. And unfortunately, it's not listed on the subdivision map, but their understanding was that that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
What does it mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
So you're saying that Joe Palermo told you something that kind of contradicts what's in the covenants and restrictions?
Said that this property, I don't know if all properties should have an accessory structure setback, but
They do, but the issue is that the covenants and restrictions are more restricted. Sorry. The covenants and restrictions are more restrictive than the accessory setback.
And then regarding,
Hang on, not necessarily. If the principal structure is 20 feet and the accessory structure is more than that, the accessory structure, you still have to conform the accessory,
Correct.
which could be more restrictive than the principal,
Yes.
which is also means it's more restrictive than the covenant. So it just has to meet them, right?
Yes.
Okay.
okay, and then regarding fences and gates being structures, we've engaged counsel. They have an opinion, so they're drafting a memo in
They
response.
do, and my response to that, which I was going to email, I've been talking to your lawyer all day, is that there should be interpretation from the building inspector about that. I think that, because ultimately what we decide will be based on what he says. So I gave him advance notice that I was going to be requesting one. So I'm going to be requesting a formal opinion from the building inspector about whether it's within our jurisdiction. And I think, I recognize you've been told multiple different things during this, but where we came out now is that it seems like the building department wants it all to be in our purview. So I think ultimately that will be what the answer is from the building department. It'll be up to your lawyer and your client if you want to appeal that proceeding.
Okay, we'll see what happens, sure.
All right, so right now we're gonna leave, we're not even gonna look at the fences then. I think, it's not resolved.
Correct.
Okay,
So we can look at the modification though to the house still, right?
yes, just the modification.
House and cabana.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So I'm fine with the changes to the house, and I don't really have an objection to the cabana. If anything, it's just moved further away from the open agriculture towards the neighboring lot. It's actually better from my perspective.
is that what you see? Okay.
Well, my understanding from Nathan said that it moved east and slightly north.
Okay.
The problem in my mind is if it had actually moved west and further south, closer to the open agriculture. This is actually just shifting it slightly away from it and towards the other.
Right.
It's unfortunate for the other.
It's highly visible no matter where you put it, so it's okay. Chip?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Let's get this done.
I'm fine. All right, so let's go ahead and, I think the best way was how Frank just sort of generalized the modification is that I will make a motion to approve the application for your modification of the south elevation and the east elevation. And all the proper documentation and spec sheets, et cetera, have been submitted to the file. And also the relocation of the cabana or pool house.
Okay.
Is that complete?
Oh.
And just note that the generator has been removed from the scope of the project. So I think that's it, okay? Does that sound reasonable?
Yep.
Believe so.
Okay. So do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
What are wainscot on? It's all wainscot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just up the road.
People waiting.
I guess. There are a couple of things. Such a mess. Okay. Are we missing something? You're
No,
okay?
they're talking about the fences.
Sorry?
May I ask if there was any information on what fences and gates that were there should be resubmitted to the Architectural Review Board?
I don't know offhand, to be totally honest. I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Let's just, I mean, we're just saying that all the fences, gates are,
I think, yeah, the
Going to be
Joe Palermo's, the building department's new policy under Joe Palermo is that anything above grade in an ag overlay is now within the jurisdiction of the Architectural Review Board.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
thank you, Louis, of the Architectural Review Board. Okay. All right, move on. Okay, we're moving on to issuance of certificate of occupancy, number 9. This is Kenneth Grant, care of Rudy Sahay, tax map number 300-1966-1-8.01, 15 Wainscott Hollow Road. So this is, I think, just, I think we may remember this. This has a tennis court, which you can see to the right here, that we did approve for CO. I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year, for the fencing. And so this is actually just an open CO that originally dated to 2018, the resolution from 2018 that was modified in 2021 regarding the pool house structure. And so I'm going to say, based on the site visit, it substantially conforms to the resolution. The resolution is worded based on the application that was originally submitted, which indicated that this was an 8x10 structure, which is impossible. The plans do indicate that it's 18 by 11 and 4 inches, and I measured, and that's what it is. So it is no more than, I think 199 is no more than 200 square feet. And so the only part that was a modification was the fenestration on the west side. So that is not actually reflected on the plans that we have, the elevations that we have, rather. These two windows appear differently on the plans. They're just closer together. They don't have the space in between. But I think for all purposes, it comports. So I think that's it for this, and I would say it can go ahead, and I will make a motion unless there's any questions.
No.
No.
So I'll make a motion to instruct staff to inform the building department that the applicant has satisfied the conditions of the ARB approval and a certificate of occupancy can be issued. So, do I have a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. I will note that all of the trim on this house was repainted, so that was the only thing that was never, but we're not going to be too picky.
What color was it originally?
White.
Now it's brown.
Black.
Oh, black. Okay.
Black.
So,
It's a cursed color right now.
Move on, move on. Do not stop.
Don't mention black paint right now. Sorry, David. Next one.
okay. Number 10, 30 WM LLC, tax map number 300-200-2-35. This 30 Wainscott Main Street, Wainscott, care of Peconic Environmental Associates. And you are here. So would you like to come up and say anything about this? Because I think there was nothing changed from the last time. You just didn't come.
We would like our CFO. We provided what was requested. I have the lighting designer here if there's any questions. And we provided a letter from the generator people, so I think we've answered everything, and an updated survey. That the fire pit that was talked, it's actually something that was bought at Restoration Hardware.
Right, so yes, that's all true. And the only thing, I thought that perhaps you had withdrawn it from the last, the meeting last time, because I spoke with Jonathan and I mentioned that the generator, as my understanding goes, still didn't comport with the noise ordinance for nighttime levels. So I mentioned that to him, and that was just a sort of an outstanding question on this.
We have a letter in the file.
I did read the letter, and the planner also did his review of everything. Maybe, I don't know, Dan, you can, I just think it was the nighttime levels that it wasn't meeting.
My understanding from them, and he was supposed to be here tonight, unfortunately could not be here tonight, was the information we provided. And then they also provided me that, and again, I am not a generator, I don't want to be here talking about generators, but that the code states that the noise may not exceed A or B, and that their interpretation says they meet the requirement. And again, that letter says that they meet the requirement, but that the way the code reads and the way they've done business is that it does not state that the noise level has to A and B, it's A or B. No. And my understanding that they said the generator installed at 30 Wainscott Main Street per the attached specifications operates at 60 hertz and produces at full load 64 dB, which makes it in conformance.
And this is what's in the letter.
I believe so, and this is
looking for it, I
the
just
email
don't
that I got also from him, just stating this, so. That's
Council?
my understanding.
The code, the decibel level is 50 at night.
It's octave band, it says here, octave band sound pressure level.
No, I'm talking about in the East Hampton Town Code residential decibel limit for the night. Yes.
Well, again, then I'll go back to the generator,
50.
because I'm not getting in the middle of this. I honestly, he was supposed to be here tonight, and this is not.
So it's supposed to, the reason that it can't, it's not, there's two different levels. One, it has to be compliant with the daytime, which is higher, and then the nighttime, which is more restrictive with 50.
The nighttime, I'm reading this, and again, it says 70, but again, I'm not going to get into it, and if you want, I honestly, I've spoken to Joe Palermo about this too, and I feel like we're kind of stuck in the middle on this. I think,
I know, and it's unfortunate because
I think in
the
the
original
future-
resolution included the generator, and
And the
this was
generator-
prior to us really knowing
and the generator that was
what the noise ordinance, you know, restrictions were, we weren't made aware of that
correct, and
detail.
the generator that was installed was the one that was approved by this board.
No, I understand, that's what I'm trying to say, except you were talking over me, is that, that it was part of the original resolution, I understand that. Unfortunately, we can't approve something that doesn't meet the noise ordinance. So
Is there a way to approve this, that the approval of the north, or that we can say that provided that the generator meets the, you know, meets the zoning code requirements and will be like,
and who verifies that?
I think this should be something that the building inspector should be verifying.
I agree
Not-
with-
We're not. I wonder if there is a way in which we could word this, that that this is something that the building department will verify. That it conforms to.
That it could be done to the satisfaction of the building inspector. I've talked to, because it's really.
So the two different things, the noise ordinance is outside of zoning, it's not within the building inspector's purview. It's chapter 185 of the town code. Zoning is, 255. So it's different. The building department is not responsible for enforcement of the noise ordinance. That's code enforcement, is the department that enforces the town's noise ordinance. And so the only thing that I could think of to Frank's suggestion is, and the board would have to discuss this, and I don't know that I'm comfortable, it would almost have to go into executive session to discuss it, but we could make it conditional upon the operation of the generator within acceptable limits of the decibels, during the nighttime and the daytime. It's approved, but with the understanding that it has to comply with the decibel readings. And obviously, if they operated at night, it wouldn't be, it would be in violation of it.
And who checks that? The code enforcement?
The code enforcement would be, so they would have to be, if there was a neighbor that could, it's the same thing, they could call, and then the person would get potentially would get a violation for it, and that would be a valid violation. That's the one workaround, which doesn't really serve the purposes of what the code says when it says don't approve anything that's in violation of other sections of this code, because we're just setting it up for potential problems down the road.
But again, what I've been told by the generator, it does meet the night. That's what I'm
I know. Well, I'm telling you, I'm the town prosecutor, and the standards that I have for the noise ordinance are 50 during the night in residential, and whatever, it's 65 in the daytime.
Yeah.
What and we're just talking as friends here. What I don't understand is, and I was talking to two other attorneys in Southampton town, I told them I was coming here, and I was telling them I have to come for a generator. They go, why does ARB handle a generator?
Because it's in the ag overlay.
I understand that, but I saw another project tonight with Fleetwood where they had the same problem. They had to pull the generator off. I wish there was a simpler way, and I'm just saying this not just about this project, about dealing with generators. Maybe you do a separate generator application that you actually separate, because I'm noticing, and you were nice enough to separate it out from my 99. I appreciate that. But perhaps there's another mechanism, because it's really hard to tie that in with a C of O for a finished house. Because there's a legality with letting people move into a house without a C of O. And it's really unfortunate.
No,
But, yeah.
Really, the problem is that it's not, as you say, David, it's not, practically, it should be something that the building department handles.
And in another municipality, I believe they do. Yeah, that's.
The building department issues building permits for it because it's the structure, but as far as ensuring that it's in conformance with the noise standards, that's code enforcement.
Right.
Again, I apologize. I'd given him 6 weeks' notice, and I was told last week it was going to be here. And I said, well, I'm not going to go fight for a generator. That's not what I do.
So I just, in looking at the numbers, it just is clearly not meeting that
Again,
at night. During the day, yes.
We have told him, and he said he was going to come and talk about it, and I don't know what he was going to say.
Are the people in the house?
No, well, off-season, thank God.
Is he available to come to the next meeting?
He was supposed to be at this meeting. I gave him 6 weeks' notice, and he canceled last week. So
The client needs to chase him.
No, everybody's been chasing. I think Stephanie could say the same thing. We had the Fountainhead was chasing them. Up until today, I was trying to get somebody from their firm to be here, but
This
I
is
will come
GT
back.
Powers, is it? Yeah.
And it's not like that's what they do for a living. I would think that if they're putting generators in the town of East Hampton, they would understand what the requirements are.
Yeah, okay.
So can we issue a COO that excludes the generator?
That's what I was going to ask.
And then can we schedule to come back next meeting about only
Yes.
the generator? I'd really appreciate
If that's fine, then I would do that. Yes?
Yes, Julie, are you comfortable writing a resolution for that?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your help.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to ensure that was, all right, and thank you for submitting all the materials that we had requested.
You're welcome.
Um,
Thank you.
All right, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to instruct staff to inform the building department that the applicant has satisfied the conditions of the ARB approval and a certificate of occupancy can be issued exclusive of the generator existing on the property.
Second.
Aye. Aye, okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, next up is, it's my show today. Number 11, Ellen and Jeffrey Cohen, tax map number 300-24-10-39. This is at 110 Kings Point Road, East Hampton. Oh, thank you, you have pictures up already. So this is at the corner of Kings Point Road and Tyrone Drive, which is a corner property, and you'll remember that this property had well, not on this side, it had, I think, taller fencing on this side. It's deer fencing all between the vegetation, and they have revegetated actually since last time I was there. So as you said earlier, it's hard to see the photos of the deer fencing.
But it looks good.
Yeah, and then it was an existing pedestrian gate. I think they lowered it. So everything is at a maximum of 6 feet, between 70 and 72 inches. All the deer fencing and the pedestrian gates. And then this area was where there was a more, not quite solid, but a wood fence, if you recall. So they've removed that and put in the the deer fencing and some new plantings. And yeah, so what was there before was similar to what's next to the garage. And I think it just improves the sightline. It's more open now. And as the vegetation grows in, they'll have the required screening for their pool. So I think this looks good. Okay, good. So I'll go ahead and make a motion to instruct staff to inform the building department that the applicant has satisfied the conditions of the ARB approval and a certificate of occupancy can be issued. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Passed and carried. All right, last on is Madison IT Group, tax map number 300-172-6-3, 136 Main Street, Amagansett. And this is Diane.
Yes. This application has been before us many times. I think everything has now been clarified between the tenant and the owner, and the sign, the hanging sign comports exactly to our resolution. So unless there are any further questions, I would like to make a motion that staff inform the building department that this is ready.
For a certificate of occupancy?
Certificate of occupancy.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. And we move on to resolutions. We have the Glamour Nail Salon, tax map number 300-171-1-15. And everybody has had a chance to sign?
Yes, here, I think
I am not.
we're awaiting Frank's signature.
Okay. Rowdy Hall, tax map number 300-171-1-14. Stephen Bruce, extension of time, tax map number 300-102-7-10. Montauk Clothing Company, extension of time, tax map number 300-49-6-7. Big Blue Marble LLC, tax map number 300-196-1-24. 2 Old House Lane LLC, tax map number 300-159-1-3.5. And Maselli Management, extension of time, tax map number 300-16-2-25. And that takes care of that. Anything else, everybody? All right. Do I have a motion to
Make
close
a motion
the
to
meeting?
close this meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone.